How you doing, everybody? John Arezzi back for another week of Pro Wrestling Spotlight Live for February 27th, 2021. Hope everybody's doing good out there. We have a really cool show for you today. We are going to be bringing on a gentleman named Jared Cheek. And Jared is the person that is overseeing the social media accounts for Terry Funk. And we have a lot of questions for Jared. I mean, to see the Funker post videos now and send messages to the fans via Jared. We're going to get the backstory, and we're going to make a special announcement as well when Jared comes on in just a few minutes. We're also going to bring on Dave Drayson Berzinski. Dave Berzinski, a friend of mine that I've known since the 70s. And he's a historian. He's a former photographer. He worked in the offices of Detroit for the Chic, in Los Angeles for the LaBelles, and has launched a new platform on YouTube. And we'll share an episode that he posted last night. It's only the second show. And also, ironically, it has to do with Terry Funk. So we'll have our discussion with Dave coming up in the second half of the show. So lots to go over. We'll bring on Alex Robertson in just a couple of minutes, but a couple of quick announcements here. It's been a busy day for me. As you know, Matt Memories is coming out April the 6th. Here's the book. Finally, the book I wrote with Mr. Greg Oliver, being published by ECW Press. So right now, I had put out, if anyone wanted a low numbered signed copy of Matt Memories, I put up an offer, discussed an offer, asked people to email me. I've been overwhelmed by the response. I put up the link for the live link, the buy it link, about an hour ago for those who emailed me. And so far, I'm getting every few seconds on my phone, there are people ordering it from the link I sent him. I am going to be putting this live link on all my social media tomorrow, so everyone will have the opportunity to buy the book in advance. I mean, I put up really numbered copies that are from 1 to 250 for this pre-sale. And if you go to John Arezzi's Vintage Wrestling Auctions on Facebook, there is a special one of one, the very first signed copy that I will be sending out. Only one of those. It'll be one of one is being auctioned off right now on John Arezzi's Vintage Wrestling Auctions on Facebook. And also the first 5 books I will sign. And then everyone else up to 250 will have the opportunity to get the book. And then once we go past that 250 mark, I might be able to get another 250 copies for that. So it's doing well. It's selling. And I am excited about it. April the 6th is the date. I'm going to be in the studio all next week to record the audio version of the book. So I'll be in a Nashville recording studio doing that audio book. So exciting things there. Let's get to Alex Robertson from SlamWrestling.net. She's up in Canada with all the news. And Alex, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, John?
I am doing fine. I'm really excited today. This has gotten me, once you click send on that email to about 100 people or so, and then all of a sudden, immediately, you start getting the orders you see on my PayPal account, and it makes me feel great. So excited about it.
I'm excited for you. That's great news.
I'm excited for Greg, too. I mean, this is going to be a good one for him as well. So Greg Oliver, of course, co-wrote the book with me, and he's so busy on projects and just so blessed to have him in my life.
Definitely.
So were there any things going on in wrestling this week?
Oh, were they ever? But I want to start with Elimination Chamber last weekend. And as you and I were saying, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from the pay-per-view. And unfortunately, my predictions came true. So we saw that Drew McIntyre lost his belt, his WWE championship, to The Miz. I don't think too many people were surprised by that. I think even in the pre-show, they were talking about, oh, well, we haven't really seen The Miz in, backstage. Maybe he's going to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
He did.
Yeah, and I started to read a little bit, of the reaction, and it was very much along the same lines. Like, no one was really surprised. However, there is word that the Miz's title reign will be short-lived. He will likely lose it at Fastlane to either Lashley or to Drew McIntyre, maybe in some sort of rematch. I'm not really sure, but I didn't think that he was going to take it all the way to WrestleMania. I just didn't see it for storyline purposes.
Yeah.
And I also heard that, Bad Bunny might be involved, and I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Just the name. I know he's a huge star.
He is.
But I just can't. It's just Bad Bunny, the name.
I can't.
It's bad enough that he's involved.
I know. I can't take it seriously either. But anyway, we'll see. We know that he's been doing some sort of wrestling training. I don't know what that means for the WWE. But again, we will see. We also saw that Roman Reigns got to go up against Daniel Bryan, who won the SmackDown Elimination Chamber. And I was kind of excited. I thought, ooh, Daniel Bryan, this is going to be a great match. And it kind of turned into a squash match.
It was a squash. They shouldn't have had him like immediately face Roman. They should have let him, rest up and get taped up, and at least give him everyone perception of a fighting chance, because that was a pure squash, and it wasn't good.
No,
squash like that.
Of course not. And I mean, but were we really expecting anything less? I mean, Paul Heyman basically got Roman Reigns out of the match to begin with. So I had a feeling that something like this would have happened. It just so happened to be Daniel Bryan was the fall man there. But anyway, Roman Reigns retains. So yeah, the next pay-per-view that we have coming up is going to be Fastlane. We're not going straight to WrestleMania.
Right.
And the WWE did announce that Fastlane will be available on both the network and on Peacock on March 21st. However, WrestleMania will solely be available on Peacock. Because I guess by then they're going to have made the transition over to the new platform.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to play out, because we haven't gotten any notification that they're moving over to Peacock. We all know it, but they haven't sent out any email notification to how is it going to work? Where does that $9.95 go? Do you have to send it to the WWE still, or does it go to Peacock? Still got a lot of questions regard to that transition.
And that's only technically a month away. I mean, Monday we're going to be March, so it's technically a month away until they're going to try and migrate over to this new platform. So hopefully we'll get more details. And I promise you that if I see anything, if I hear anything, I will let you guys know right away.
Thank you.
So that was not the only thing that the WWE decided to land on us this week. They also said that they will be releasing a new series, a new docu-series, which is going to be on A&E. Yes. And it's going to start after WrestleMania. It's called Biography. And I watched a bit of the promo for it, and it seems kind of interesting. It's very behind the scenes. They do talk about some of the things that, they don't often talk about because maybe they're ashamed of it, whether that be drug use or anything like that. So they're really kind of laying it all out there. It's going to be 2-hour episodes, and I believe there's going to be 8 of them. So it should be very interesting, and considering it's going to be shown on a platform like A&E, it's a decently big network. So
yes, it is.
So I mean, there's that, and
I knew about that biography series about a year ago that they were developing it, and so I think it will be really well produced, especially with the collaboration of the WWE and A&E. And I know they're filming Mick Foley next week, actually. So.
Yeah, he's included. I know that Shawn Michaels and Booker T are also going to be included in it. So it should, if it's anything like Dark Side of the Ring, any type of feel like that, I'm sure we're going to be in for quite something. And it might be eye-opening for some, maybe not so for others. And they did also announce that they're doing this thing called WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, which is going to air directly after this new biography series. And it's kind of cool.
Back to back, they're going to do it?
Yeah, and it's going to be on Sundays,
Mhm.
and it's basically going to be showing some of the treasures that we've seen over the years in the ring. So something like Kane's mask, they're going to go on the hunt for that and tell us how that came about. So that's also kind of cool.
Yeah, I know some people who have been involved in the production of that show as far as some of the episodes, and they actually reached out to me to license some old footage I had from Madison Square Garden. So hopefully that deal will be consummated. And yeah, I mean that sounds exciting too. So 2 shows on A&E. I mean, interesting stuff back to back. That's interesting too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's time, especially if they're going to show the stuff that goes on beyond the ring. Like we've seen that kind of stuff on Dark Side of the Ring, but there was no attachment to the WWE. But the fact that the company itself is choosing to put themselves out there and kind of tell the stories of the not so nice stuff that's happened over the years, it's kind of admirable in a way. So I guess we'll see after WrestleMania what kind of fun stuff we're into there.
They don't stop moving. They just keep moving forward.
No, and speaking of somebody who's moving forward, if you will, The Big Show had quite the announcement. I know I saw it on Twitter, and as soon as I saw it on Twitter, I got a notification in my email because I'm on AEW's press releases, and the press release came out, and I can't say that I was seeing this coming. I mean, I knew that his contract was coming to an end. But I never would have thought that somebody like The Big Show, who was a staple, at least for me, when I was watching it, he was like the WWE. So the fact that now he's leaving and he's going to AEW is kind of surprising. But you know what? It's also very good for the company. I mean, if they can't, if him and the WWE could not come to an agreement on a contract, which is kind of seemingly what happened, good for AEW for picking up on that and adding yet another legend to their roster.
Yeah, it should be an interesting scenario with him going in there, especially he was on TV, I think, a month ago or so?
Yeah.
Backstage at that Legends show. So, yeah, good for him. I mean, let him keep making some money, and he's certainly a big name, and let's see what they do with him.
I mean, as far as we know, he's going to be on their new show, their new AEW Dark show. And he's going to be doing commentary. So that's going to be every Monday on their YouTube channel at 7 p.m. So that'll be kind of cool to see him in a different role like that. I'm excited to see what he does with it.
Yeah, me too. Good for him.
And AEW definitely got some more good news this week. It came later in the week. The Wrestling Observer Online released their awards for this year. And not shocking that AEW topped the list in most of the positive, I would say, awards. And unfortunately, the WWE came out with a lot of worst of awards. I mean, there's a lot of, like, I'm looking at some of the awards that were given out. You look at, something like Best Interviews, Eddie Kingston. And then the Lou Thesz Award, or the Ric Flair Award, which is the Wrestler of the Year, Jon Moxley. Most outstanding wrestler, current AEW world champion Kenny Omega. So the big awards went to AEW wrestlers. And then if you look at the worst awards, like worst TV show and worst gimmick, WWE, all of their shows were on the list, and worst gimmick went to The Fiend, which I was actually a little surprised by that because I've been watching throughout the year, and I think that The Fiend has probably one of the best gimmicks. It may not be something to everybody's taste, but I was a little surprised to see his name on there. But not looking good for the WWE in terms of awards and in other people's eyes. That's
not from the Observer.
No. But I mean, let's see if they can turn it around. One of the awards that I did appreciate was the wrestling book of the year, and it went to the Young Bucks. And I had the pleasure of actually reviewing that book for Slam, and it's a pretty long read, considering they're not at the end of their career. They're kind of in the middle of it and kind of at their peak, but it's a fascinating book. You can tell that a lot of hard work went into their career and went into writing that book. So if anybody wants to learn more about the business and more about the indie scene, that's definitely one that I would say you should put on your list.
Very good. It's still at the top of the Amazon charts. It's been up there for quite a while.
Yeah. And lastly, we got some sad news this week. Yet another wrestler passed away. He was known as Question Mark Joseph Hudson, who was mainly in the NWA. They said that he passed away from an undisclosed illness. They're not saying whether it was something like a previous condition that he had or if it was COVID. We're not really sure yet. But the wrestling world did come out and react to what happened, especially the NWA owner, Billy Corgan. So.
Yeah, I had some interaction with him probably about a year ago. I was asked by a producer of an independent film to find a monster-type wrestler for this role as a murderer in this horror flick. And I had gotten him a screen test for it, and ultimately James Storm got the role.
Okay.
So that's film is, I guess, being in post-production now, and it'll be coming out. So it's just a cheesy B movie horror flick, but should be interesting when it does come out. But yeah, that was very, very sad because he seemed like just a heck of a guy on the phone interaction I had with him. And even though he didn't get that part, they really liked him as a person. And he came second, I believe, in that casting. And that's unfortunate. Very, very sad.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to have touched a lot of people in the wrestling world, and he looks a lot like Bruiser Brody, which is what I'm understanding where his name came from. So,
well, yeah, he was in the Dark Side of the Ring. He played Brody in Dark Side that episode. Yeah, so sad. Well, Alex, I mean, another busy week, and we'll see what happens next this upcoming week, and we'll talk more wrestling news with you right here next Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see you next Saturday, John.
All righty, Alex. Thank you so much. Alex Robertson, SlamWrestling.net. A great group of journalists there with the guy that's running the show, Greg Oliver, Bob Kapoor, who's on the feed right now. Bob, one of the great writers there, and of course Alex, a reporter there, and Bob Kapoor. It's a year ago this weekend, I believe, that you guys were here in Nashville, and I took you backstage at the Opry. So those were good memories from last year. But let's go to the next segment. I'm going to bring on a gentleman right now, and I've never met him before. We've interacted over the last week or so. Jared Cheek. Jared, how are you doing?
Hi, John. Good. How are you?
I am doing well. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And you have a really fascinating role, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
I know everyone always asks about Terry Funk. And Terry Funk, of course, in my life, one of the all-time favorites in the business for me. I got to do a lot of business with Terry in the 90s, different shows, tours, brought him into AAA and gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award. He was involved in probably the most volatile live wrestling event I promoted in Chicago, in conjunction with the Lucha Libre organization, AAA, and ECW. And we had Terry turn on Perro Aguayo in Chicago that night and hang him with a rope over, and it caused a riot because Terry is so good at what he does. It caused a riot. But I'm going to pull something up because there have been imposter accounts on Terry. Everyone is always curious about him since he kind of took a low profile. And if I could pull this up right now, it's from October when Terry sent a message to the imposters on Twitter. So bear with me a second, everybody, because this is going to take me a second to set up. And then we're going to talk to you on the other side of it. And
this is basically the reason we got him on social media, just because we saw these fake accounts, and upset me. So anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
absolutely. So let me see if I can get this here on the share. Just bear with me here. I apologize because I have to put the sound on here too. So anyway, it's going to be worth the wait. Believe me.
Look, I am Terry Funk, and I am on Twitter, and I am I, and you are you. I don't want any impersonators. Look,
It was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Short and sweet. Now, there was a lot going on. Like the accounts were up there. People were impersonating Terry. How did you get involved with Terry Funk?
So a few years ago now, so my day job is I work at a public library, but as my like hobby thing, I have a small record label, and so I really wanted to put out like a vinyl record interview with Terry Funk because he's my favorite and he's just the best. So yeah, we talked about doing it for at least a year or two, and just kind of became
Did
friends.
you know him? Did you know him previously, or you just
No,
reached out
I
to him,
just called him like with that idea, and he was like, "Yeah, sounds good. We'll do it sometime." And he just like kind of put it off and stuff, but he was like, "Call me back. You know, I like talking to you." So we just kind of became friends, talking on the phone, and eventually we got it done. I went down there I'm like 15 hours away in Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay.
So yeah, I went down there and had a real good time. Met his wife, Vicky. She was great, you know, too. And yeah, we did this interview record and put it out and just kind of ended up, you know, staying in touch. We talked on the phone.
What do you mean? It was an interview record. It was on vinyl. You said on vinyl?
Yeah. It
was a complete interview with Terry.
Right. Yeah, I got a copy right here. Actually.
Yeah, please.
It's he wanted a really bloody cover, so that's the cover, and then there's an old picture on the back. But yeah, it's just.
And you're gonna let people know where they can get that, or is that out of print already?
I'm almost out, but there's about 20 copies or so left. Yeah, flannelgraphrecords.com is the name of the website where they can
people can go now to pick it up.
want.
Flannelgraphrecords.com. They can go there and pick it up.
Yeah, and you can stream it for free on the internet too if you just want to listen to it.
Oh,
but yeah, we still have some of
very
those.
cool. But that vinyl is collectible these days too.
Yeah.
Now, did you you said that you had talked to Vicky? I mean, obviously, this was, you know, before Vicky.
Right.
Vicky passed when? Do you remember? Recently, like within the last year, correct?
It was about a, I forget, but yeah, maybe a little over a year ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so sad. Yeah, so that's how it started, and then you officially kind of launched it when, in October?
That's a good question. I forget. I'll try to look. But basically, like, there's no, you know, he doesn't care about social media. There's no reason for him to, you know, have it. Besides, you know, I saw that there was, you know, a fake Terry Funk account, and like all these like reputable people like thought that it was him, and so like
I was one of them.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to, you know that. Yeah, you wouldn't know the difference. Yeah. But yeah, I was just kind of like, I want to make sure like there's not some knucklehead putting out weird things, you know, because I care about his legacy and, you know, what people think about him. So I was just like, hey, do you want me to make a Twitter account for you? So like, you know, there's at least a legit one. He was like, yeah, sure. You know, he wanted it to be, I think, the Dirty Funker's Thoughts, but that was too many characters. So we just cut it down to the Dirty Funker.
So it's at the Dirty Funker on not just on
Twitter and
but on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah. So the idea is we'll just if he wants me to say anything to his fans, we talk on the phone about once a week anyway. He'll just tell me on the phone, and we've done some Q&As that way where I'll just read him the Twitter questions and I'll just write down his answer, type out his answers, then I'll, type it out on the Twitter account. And then we'll post old pictures from, things he has or things that I have, memorabilia, stuff like that.
He recently posted a video, which was really interesting. It was, a lot of people sent him stuff to sign.
Yeah, there's so the last few times I've been up there, he's just like, "Oh, Jared, look at all this stuff. They keep sending it to me, and I'm too nice to just throw it away."
It was
people find his address. I mean, there's probably fake addresses out on the internet too, but they, find his address and send him all the stuff. So,
but it was really funny, and I'm going to try to play that that one little piece about the autographs.
Did you ever see that one Ringo Starr put up?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. I mean, Ringo Starr did the same thing. He got tired of signing, and he goes, "Peace and love."
Yeah, I'm warning you, peace and love.
As of October, they will not be signing anymore. Everything will be tossed in the trash.
Right, exactly.
So, and Howard Stern plays that a lot. I mean, but because it was so funny. But you get to a point where you're a legend and an icon, not just like Ringo Starr, but like Terry Funk in the wrestling business, and people still want to interact with you and have you sign stuff, and enough is enough, and he tapped out.
That's right. I mean, he's still up for once the things are better with the pandemic, he still wants to get out there and do
conventions
when he feels like it.
Do signings and conventions. Yeah, I mean that would be so awesome. I just revere that man, and I had him on my old Pro Wrestling Spotlight radio show many times, and there's nobody like him to this day. And then I saw most of the ECW run with him, but we were friends. I mean, I was able to book him. He was at my very first convention.
Yeah.
And by the way, you found an original of the first wrestling convention on eBay, a T-shirt which you purchased.
I got it right here. I'll show you.
That's the original. That's not even the reprints that we did. That's the actual deal from 1990.
When did you do reprints?
About 2-3 months ago. They're not up there anymore because we put them up for around August. We put them up just to kind of celebrate the anniversary.
Okay, it's an original because it's got the old Screen Stars logo.
Yeah, I remember. That's it. That's the original. The other ones are from Forward Merch, who do my merchandise.
Oh, cool.
And we said, let's put it up. I mean, just to see. And some people ordered it. He put one in blue and one in green and one in black, the original color. And we had it up there for a couple of weeks, and then it was gone because it was limited.
Okay, yeah.
But that's the original. You can't find one in that shape anywhere.
Right, yeah.
You're lucky it's faded and has holes in it.
Yeah, this was it was in a plastic bag. I think it had just been sitting there for how many years is that now? 30 years?
30.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy. But I mean, you're doing something really cool, and you have a small record company. You're dealing in vinyl, so you sound like a busy guy, man.
Yeah, we did that. We also did a reproduction of a Terry Funk shirt from 1983 from Japan that we're out of most places, but I just put in an order a couple weeks ago, so we'll have that back in. It's so there's, which I saw in a picture in like a Japanese wrestling magazine from '83. Just like a picture of him wearing it. And so there's a local screen printer in town. So we got him to, get all the colors just right and create it just like it was. So
so he's open to some opportunities. Don't send him stuff in the mail. Don't send him anything. If you want anything, if you're going to be putting up,
he'll be out at the conventions one of these days at
I definitely would love
Champions,
to reunion. we'd love to do a reunion. And actually, we're talking about one big reunion up in the New York area after this pandemic goes away. Are you seeing me okay? You seeing me okay?
I froze up for a second. I think I'm okay now.
Okay, good, because you were cutting out
Can
a
you
little
hear me?
bit. I can,
Okay.
yes.
Am I good now?
Because we have something. At least I have something kind of exciting to announce to everybody, and you had an integral part of it. And I hope that everything happens and things are good a week from today, because a week from today, Terry's agreed to come on the show.
Yeah, I just talked to him today, and yeah, he's still up for it. Looking forward to talking to you again.
I can't wait. I mean, I didn't know if he was going to remember me or whatever. And then, you know, when I reached out to you, you said he did, and he'd be more than happy to do it if he remembers, or, you know, but, hopefully he will. And because I think that week, and you're invited on, of course, to be with him. And I'm trying to get a surprise guest to appear, who's somebody that's beloved by him. So we're working on that as a special surprise to him, and or maybe two, and we'll see. I mean, I reached out to a couple of people that I know he loves and who love him. And so next Saturday, right here, March the 6th, Terry Funk and Jared, you'll be joining us again, and that should be
Sure.
that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure
So,
you guys
I mean,
have a lot to. Yeah,
you'll have a lot
to talk to him. It's probably been a while.
A lot to catch up on, but I mean, what a unique opportunity for you to just reach out, you know, and then you develop a friendship with one of the most iconic figures in the history of pro wrestling, and now you're handling his social media accounts and posting
It's
very cool
pretty,
messages from him.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. Like I've been to his house several times now, but it's you know, you get talking to him, and then it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this is Terry Funk right here. This is really surreal. But you know, he's just like you said, he's just a great guy, and everybody loves him.
How is he holding up?
I think he's the best. I think he's my favorite wrestler. I think he's the best.
Oh yeah, he was
what?
always in my top 5. I mean, how is he holding up since his wife passed, and of course he's got family? Does he see his family often, and how is he doing generally, especially with the loss of his wife?
Yeah, I mean, with Vicky passing and the pandemic, and he has health problems, you know, it's been a hard year, but he's hanging in there. You know, I think he's mentioned this before, so it's not anything new, but he's having he's had a hernia or complications from hernia that it's been bothering him, and he's also just, you know, all that his body's been through, you know, in the ring.
Oh my goodness.
Years.
Yeah, somebody just put a post here like it's the night before AEW's exploding barbed wire match, so the timing is perfect. Because of course Terry was involved in those matches himself.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on that. I'm sure.
Yeah. Are you still with? There you
Sorry,
go.
I think I
froze up a little. You froze up a little. But I mean, yeah, everything is great. I appreciate it, and please tell everybody again. I mean, the social media accounts for him, and of course your record company, and anything else you'd like to promote. I mean, go right ahead. Hello,
John. I'm gonna move to a different room in my house and see if the internet's better in here.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no problem. I was saying, you know, like with your record company, I just want you to promote whatever you want to promote. Your label again.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So it's flannelgraphrecords.com. And yeah, you can stream all the things we've released, and there's some Terry Funk vinyl left if you need one of those. We'll have some more.
I think people should go there and get one of those collector's items. And you have his social media account once again on YouTube, on Twitter at The Dirty Funker. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you on YouTube at all with him?
No. Just the.
You're providing a great service for the wrestling fans who remember and adore Terry Funk. And we're so excited to bring you back next Saturday with Terry. I mean, we are so excited to, and I'm going to try to pull some video or something, you know. But if we get these other guests that I was talking about, the one or two of them, it'll be a great conversation. Believe me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah,
Well,
thanks for reaching out.
Oh man, I want to thank you, Jared, and I appreciate everything. I appreciate you reaching out to Terry, and I had his phone number, but I always felt like intrusive to call him. I just didn't want to bother him. I didn't know what health he was in or whatever. But when you reached out and mentioned me to him, and it was a positive response, and he remembered me and all of that, I just got some cold chills because I love the man so much. I really do. Yeah.
Also, before I go, congratulations on the new book. It's I had the chance to I host a radio show, and the promo folks were able to get me a digital copy. So I'm almost to the end.
Really?
2006. So no spoilers.
Oh, really? So what do you think? What do you think so far?
Oh, it's great. I loved it. Yeah. I'm sure everyone seeing this is probably going to get it anyway, but yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone to pick it up. It's fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it's really like I said, as I'm sitting here, I put a live link up for the pre-order, the signed and numbered editions today, and people had emailed me at john@mattmemories.com. So if you're watching this and you want a limited, like a low numbered signed copy of the book, email me. I'll send you the link, and I'm putting it out on my socials tomorrow. But we're doing quite well on the pre-sale. It's doing well with Amazon. It's doing well everywhere. ECW Press is very excited, and I can't wait for it to come out. And I'm glad that you had a chance to read some of it.
Oh yeah. I've only had it a couple of days, but you
can't put it down.
I can't put it down. It's so good.
There's a lot of surprise names in there that people would say he was involved with who or that.
Right. Yeah. You're like Forrest Gump or something, like meeting all these.
You're the second person who said that to me this week.
Really? But yeah, it's like I thought it was neat that you run the Freddie Blassie fan club, and then you end up meeting Andy Kaufman. I'm a real big fan of My Breakfast with Blassie. So seeing
I love Andy Kaufman, man. He went to the school. I went to the same school with him. He graduated before me, but I gave him a tour. It's in the book. I don't want to do a lot of spoilers, but my interaction with him. I mean, I interact with a lot of people. That have come in and out of my freaking life. But
one of them on my shirt, I think. Right.
There you go. There's Baxby, right? And weird story about the other guy in that picture, Tony Danza. Tony Danza. Yeah, he used to deliver groceries for my dad.
Right. Yeah.
In Brooklyn. And I got to meet Tony several times when he was a kid. His name was Tony Idanza. My father taught him how to pick fruit and vegetables. That's what he said on, I think it was Ellen. And he was on the Today Show. He talked about my dad too.
Oh, cool.
My dad had some ties in with some of these folks back in the day as well, which is in the book. So anyway, Matt Memories, if you want a signed copy, I'm plugging myself here. I'm supposed to be plugging you. John@mattmemories.com, or the link will be out tomorrow. Jared, you have a great week. It's great to talk to you. Great to meet you finally.
Yeah.
We look forward to Saturday, March the 6th, which is a week from today, with Terry Funk.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Jared Cheek from Indiana, who just called up Terry Funk randomly and is now handling his social media. A wonderful story, and just getting those messages from Terry on the social media, it's so cool just to see that he's out there, and I can't wait to speak to him next week, and I can't wait to speak to my next guest who's coming in. Somebody that I've known way back into the 70s, way back, Dave Drayson Brzezinski.
How you doing, John?
Good. You're in the book too, man. There's a picture of me interviewing you.
Really?
Yes. Remember that interview I did? This was way back. I mean, when you were the big mouth Dave Drayson, and I did a story on you for Ring Wrestling Magazine, and one of the picture of that interview is in the book.
Oh, wonderful!
Yeah,
can't wait to read it.
Yeah. I see you're in your home office there with the Sheik above your shoulder and all of the other artifacts, and you have almost like a wrestling museum right in your house.
Yeah.
So much history.
The portrait of the Sheik was a gift from superstar Billy Graham that he personally painted for me.
No kidding. Billy Graham painted that?
Yep. Yes.
That's even more of a collector's item, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll keep it for life until I need some money.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, but with the amount of stuff that you have, even if you sell off 25% of it, you still got enough to fill a museum. You really go way back there, my friend. And now you got something new going on. You have a great new TV platform. Tell us all about it, because I'm going to show the episode you posted last night. But I want to get some background information on how this all came about and give everybody who may not know who you are, and there's probably not very many who don't know you, I mean, a brief synopsis on your history and everything that you kind of did in wrestling, and then we'll talk about the new project.
Well, that's a whole nother hour show there.
Yeah, we could condense everything. You worked with a Sheik these years, and LaBelle and this and that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan. I was on the board of directors of the WFIA. I was a photographer. I was a writer for all the magazines. I wrote the Body Press for years. I got into managing and managed some of the greats in wrestling, and including the Sheik.
Yeah, I mean, including the Sheik. I mean, that's kind of like, that is so cool. What a legend, and what a legendary area Detroit was back then. Goodness.
Well, let me talk about my next project that I've been involved with. First and foremost, years ago, there was a documentary that was supposed to be made on the history of wrestling in Detroit that failed miserably. They didn't tell the true story. They had people that they'd never seen, big time wrestling or the Sheik or anybody, So this documentary, just to us, it was, not right. So over time, Rudy Hill, or the Rude Boy, the promoter for International Big Time Wrestling, we voiced our displeasure over it. And then we got challenged numerous times that if you could do it better, put your money where your mouth is. So over time, we ignored it. And a couple of years ago, I had this idea that, okay, I'm going to take up this project. And I contacted my good friend, Terry Sullivan, who was one of the great announcers, very underappreciated in the wrestling world. Me and him talked, and I said, Terry, let's you and I, because we have the most knowledge and history in Detroit big time wrestling. I said, let's put a camera in front of us. Let's interview each other. Let's tell, about all the boys, all the stories, the true story of the wrestling history in Detroit. And, we said, okay, COVID hit, so that project was, flat and, couldn't do it. So then I was doing another project with International Big Time Wrestling and promoter Rudy Hill. I was doing a segment, almost a la Roddy Piper kind of thing, his, Piper's Pit. It was called Dave Drayson's Wine Cellar. And we would, I would interview wrestlers, and if they were the baby faces, I'd run them down to the hilt. If they were the, heels, I'd praise them, all along, and, I drink wine, and, we had fun with it. But then Rox TV and Rudy Hill heard about that me and Terry wanted to do this sit down interview kind of thing and tell the true story of wrestling in the history of Detroit. So they said they'd take up the project. So I didn't even have to get any kind of cameras or anything. They said they were going to do it. They were going to do it right. They were going to do it better, and they were going to do it for free. Now, how much better can you get?
It can't get better than free, my friend.
Yeah. So over time, as you probably know, I've been doing tribute videos for all the guys in big time wrestling in Detroit and stuff with my pictures plus archives from my good friend Brian Buchanan. And I would do these videos, but I had music behind them. But now it's the tribute videos with my pictures and pictures in my archives telling the story of big time wrestling with Terry Sullivan. And, you know, we've only done, you know, shown 2 episodes already.
Okay.
But we have 8 of them in the can. You know, we have ones, we did Bobo and Terry Funk. We also have the Sheik, Mickey Doyle, Abdullah the Butcher, Louis Martinez, Andre the Giant, and the Fabulous Kangaroos. So those are ones that
are in the can. But the show premiered last week, and it was a show about who was the main subject? Was
Bobo Brazil?
It was Bobo. Okay. So that was episode 1, and episode 2 was just released, and we're going to show everybody that because ironically, it was about Terry Funk.
Right. So what we do is, you know, me and Terry Sullivan, we gather our notes together, we get in front of the camera, and we talk like friends. We you know, just like I'm talking to you, we talk wrestling, we talk about, you know, the stars and, you know, stories and road stories and everything. And they're basically 15 to 20 minute, you know, shoots. And so far, all the feedback has been very positive, and everybody's wanting more. And everybody's saying, how come they're not longer? And it's like, well, we want them wanting more.
Exactly. And you have so much ground to cover too. So, I mean, this makes it at a good watchable, good 15 minutes or so each episode. And I think you're doing it the right way. I watched it, you know, I watched it earlier. So that's why I was like, I'm going to play it for everybody too. So,
well, we've got, in the future, we've got, we're going to do Pampero Firpo, Killer Brooks,
nice.
Tony Marino,
very nice.
Tex McKenzie, Haystacks Calhoun, but we also want to tell those backstories about all the promoters from the area and, the history there, all the arenas that wrestling was held in Detroit. We also want to do a thing on all the announcers over time. Plus, we want to, also do the fans, those hardcore fans that came every week to Cobo Arena, travel. I mean, we had fans that were coming up from Ohio and Canada and Illinois, Indiana, Pennsylvania, every, Cobo show. So we want to tell those stories and a lot of the behind the scenes stories. Like when Terry Sullivan was working in the office with the Sheik and Jack Kane and everybody else, things that, were never meant to, be told to the general wrestling public, but now we're going to tell them and we're going to have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? We're going to air this, and this airs on YouTube, right? Each and every week.
Yeah, you can watch it on Rox TV on Roku. That's ROX-TV.
Also, Roku.
It's on. Yep, and it's also on Facebook and YouTube at International Big Time Wrestling. Every Friday, 7 p.m. is a new episode.
Great. Well, why don't we go give the fans a taste of what this show is all about with the episode that aired last night. And I will set this up and we will enjoy it. It's about someone that was the focus of the show in the beginning, Terry Funk, who's going to be here live next week. So let me share this and we'll give everyone an opportunity. And there may be some commercials in this, but let's play it and see what happens.
Do you miss the golden era of professional wrestling? Wrestling fans, it's time to bring those memories back to life. To take you back to the legendary arenas, the chair shots, the foreign objects, good versus evil, all the heroes you loved, and the villains you love to hate, and the blood. Guiding us on this journey through professional wrestling history. IBW Hall of Famers, Supermount Dave Drayson, and Terry Sullivan. International Big Time Wrestling and Rocks TV proudly presents Big Time Memories.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Sullivan along with Dave Drayson. Welcome back. Another edition of Big Time Memories coming at you today with a man I think belongs in the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, Terry Funk.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, you're talking about one of the greats, from East Coast, West Coast, Japan. He made a name for himself all around the world.
He has for a number of decades. I think he's a 6-decade performer in the ring, 6-decade athlete in the ring, and just one of the most fabulous all-round athletes of all time.
Oh, you see Terry Funk's name on the bill. People come in droves and pay money to see him. He's still a draw, and still can, put it out there and give you, some great wrestling.
Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion back in the days when they were what we call a touring champion. They would go to an area of the country, maybe spend a week. They would wrestle every night and then fly to the next area of the country and do it all over again.
Yep. But let's go from the beginning.
Let's start.
Terry Funk, born June 30th, 1944, but he was born in Illinois, not in Texas. He's known for being, a Texan, but his father, Dory Funk, and his brother, Dory Funk Jr., moved to Texas when he was a young boy. And they, started the promotion down there. Dory Funk Sr. was a big name. Dory Funk Jr. Broke in, and Terry Funk, he was like one of the numerous alumni of West Texas State University. Besides Terry Funk, you had Dory Funk Jr., you had Dusty Rhodes, you had Dick Murdoch, you had Tully Blanchard, you had Tito Santana, you had Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, Ted DiBiase, Bobby Duncan, Manny Fernandez, and a host of others.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing how many. Notre Dame doesn't. Who can you name one wrestler who came out of Notre Dame? University of Michigan. You had Scott Steiner brothers. Yeah, right. But Terry, coming out of there, played football, and he was destined to, go into the family business of professional wrestling.
Just a natural. He and his brother Dory, too. I never had the pleasure of watching Dory Sr. in action, but he was a top star for at least 20 or 30 years, died after a wrestling match in Amarillo one night. But Dory and Terry were both two excellent practitioners of the craft of professional wrestling.
Yeah, they learned their craft well.
And Terry was so versatile. I mean, he could play any part in the ring. Good guy, bad guy, maniac, whatever you needed.
He did over his career, yeah.
And he would excel, if not over excel.
And Terry made his debut in Amarillo, Texas in 1965. Against one of another greats of professional wrestling, Sputnik Monroe, of all people.
The Sweet Man, the original Sweet Man, Sputnik Monroe. Yeah.
And, I happened to, as a young kid, go to St. Louis often, and I would see a young Terry Funk, wrestling on the Kiel shows. This would have been 1968, 1969, and Dory Funk Jr. would have been on those shows, and I remember seeing Dory Sr. on those. And all three, I think I saw one match where all three of them were a tag team. against Gene Kaniski, Dr. Bill Miller, and one other person I can't remember offhand, but I did see all three of them in a tag team match there.
And they had the Missouri State title, which was usually the precursor to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And that was, I think, one of Terry's very first titles.
And I happened to run into Terry in 1973. I happened to, with the Sheik's blessing, I went out to Los Angeles with Mike LaBelle's promotion, and I worked in the front office there for the summer of 73. And I remember one of the matches there that they built up really big, Terry Funk versus Victor Rivera. And I remember seeing Terry there. And many years later, it was almost 30 years later, I saw Terry Funk at a Cauliflower Alley Club reunion in Las Vegas. And before I knew he was going to be there because he was the MC with J.J. Dillon for the banquet. And I thought, what a great present for me to bring to Terry Funk. And I printed all the pictures out that I took that night at the Olympic Auditorium of Terry Funk and Victor Rivera. And I handed it to him, and he says, "Yeah, you're that kid from Detroit. You managed the Sheik." And yeah. So he knew who I was, and he was so appreciative of what I gave him. And he goes, "Oh, you must know my uncle." And I go, "Yeah." And his uncle was Jack Kane, who was a referee down in Texas. And the Sheik brought him up as one of the bookers back in the late 60s and early 70s for big time wrestling here.
Yeah, one of the big one of the most successful eras of big time.
Yeah. But Terry Funk didn't make his debut in big time until 1977. And I was already gone at that time doing my managing career, but you were still around here. So you have, front information of what Terry Funk's, debut was here in big time.
Well, we went through Dory's reign as world champion in the early 70s. Terry a little bit later than that, into the 73, 74, I think. But he came into Detroit in 77. The very first time he came in, it was to go against the Sheik. And I don't know if they had played some of the Japan tapes at that point in time, Sheik and Butcher against the Funks or not. But Terry Funk came in and wrestled the Sheik, won by disqualification. Can you believe that? The Sheik disqualified?
No.
Can you believe that? And he had several appearances then over 77 and 78. Wrestled, he and Dory came in for a series of matches against the Sheik and the Butcher. In fact, the last match that I have record of Terry appearing at in Coble was in 1980. He and Dory against the Sheik and the Butcher inside a cage.
Wow, that had to be a wild one.
And Terry also had some numerous matches with Mark Lewin here in Detroit. Terry was not a fan favorite at that point in time and was not necessarily a favorite of one of the commentators at that point in time. He was quite a difficult guy to get along with. And one day when I was interviewing him on Big Time Wrestling, I think it was a live show at Channel 62 here in Detroit. And Terry was
upset.
In a mood.
Oh, in a mood, yeah.
He was in a mood, and he felt like he was being disrespected by the promotion, by Mark Lewin, and by the announcer. And he says, "Tell him I'm the best wrestler in the world." And I said, "Well, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world. You tell him that I am the best wrestler in the world." This went on 3 or 4 times, and finally it's like, "Dude, I am not going to say you're the best wrestler in the world." And that's the last thing I remembered. Knocked me out.
Oh, he snapped.
Yeah.
I would probably do the same thing if you didn't say I was the greatest wrestling manager in the world.
And I wish tape still existed, but that was recorded over about 4 weeks later, never to be seen again.
And over, Terry Funk's career, he changed personas, all the time.
Right.
I remember him being Chainsaw Charlie.
Charlie in WWE, right? He had some numerous matches against Cactus Jack then.
Mm-hmm.
He was a commentator for a while in WCW, and he was sort of retired from being on the road every night, but then he morphed from being a commentator into being a challenger for Ric Flair. in WCW, and that led up to one of the most memorable matches, in my opinion, of all time, the I Quit match on television between Terry Funk and Ric Flair.
I remember also that Terry Funk went into the Memphis territory,
right.
or as Jimmy Valiant would say, Memphis.
Yeah.
And he had some wild brawls with Jerry Lawler.
There's some classics there. The empty arena match, which was Terry's idea, is out there on YouTube, as is several interviews that Terry did in Memphis with Lance Russell, your friend, Lance Russell, the commentator there. And some really, really good stuff there.
Oh, God, those were some wild tapes to watch. If you wrestling fans go on YouTube and just type in Terry Funk, you're going to come up with a whole array of different kind of styles and matches. His Cactus Jack matches, the Jerry Lawler matches, the Abdullah the Butcher matches, the Sheik matches, just all classics.
And Terry later in his career morphed into what we would term the hardcore wrestler. And a lot of the stuff you see out there on YouTube is going to involve barbed wire and fire with Sabu, with Onita from Japan, with the.
He came out of wrestling, from West Texas State. He was a clean-cut, good-looking guy, and morphed into this maniac, just a man of too many personas. But, an icon of professional wrestling.
And an all-around performer who also made his mark in movies.
Yes.
He absolutely did. Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, Paradise Alley. He also, I hate to use the word choreograph, but he laid out the moves for the fight scene in Rocky V.
Yes.
And remains a good friend with Sylvester Stallone, who he starred with in Paradise Alley.
Oh, I always enjoyed Beyond the Mat.
Yeah, sure.
God,
yeah,
what a
absolutely.
great wrestling movie that was.
Yeah.
So he had a career in wrestling, movies, and wait, what was the name of the ranch that he inherited from his father?
The Double Cross.
The Double Cross Ranch
in Amarillo, Texas.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, as customary, Terry, can you take us and give the fans one last introduction of the great Terry Funk?
I will. And Terry is active on Twitter at Dirty Funker. You can find him on Twitter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Double Cross Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, weighing 245 pounds, Terry Funk.
Really proud to say that I'm a part of IBW. I take pride in IBW that we are a family-run company. It's a fight. It's a sport. IBW tradition has always mattered. You're going to see world-class professional big-time wrestling at its best. This ain't no sports entertainment. This is professional wrestling.
International big-time wrestling's the fix. Each and every week, your fix of IBW action. You want entertainment? Look no further than Rocks TV. International big time!
if you like what you've seen, don't forget to like, comment,
Dave.
subscribe, and also don't forget to ring that bell.
Wow.
Well, I hope you and your audience enjoyed that. I mean, we've been getting nothing but positive feedback from our first 2 episodes. First and foremost, let me thank our Rocks TV crew, Bobby, Nick, Carlito, Mongoose, and the promoter, Rudy Hill, who makes it all happen. We're having a lot of fun.
It was, it's great. I mean, what you're doing, I think the viewers of a show like mine, who are a lot of them in that demographic that, or just missed the opportunity to see these performers, but the memories that you get to bring back each and every week about those legends who appeared in that territory. I think it's going to be a show each and every week people are going to want to watch and not miss an episode.
I hope so. It's our episodes, Big Time Memories is every Friday night at 7 p.m. Plus, if you go to the IBW International Big Time Wrestling website, every Sunday they show different matches that, they tape. Shooting it straight with Rudy, who he interviews the guys, and they shoot it straight. They, tell, their story, and, they're great episodes, so it's not the, typical junk, that, fans are, complaining about that's on TV every week,
it's like you keep the torch alive, man, with the stuff that you're doing and these shows, people will always want to know about their heroes and legends from back then, and historians like yourself keep it alive. And Dave, I really want to thank you for allowing me to show that program here on the show tonight and bringing you on to promote it. It has been a pleasure for me. As far back as we go, my friend, I'm so happy that you're out there each and every week sharing these great memories with these fans.
I appreciate the time, John. I appreciate your friendship, and same thing, what you're doing, giving wrestling fans back, giving back to the business, and you are doing it for free.
Yeah. I mean, but hopefully people will buy my book. I mean,
yeah, me, I gotta, save up, break a piggy bank and, buy your book. And my wife is going to have to eat, ring bologna for a couple of weeks.
Well, it's not that bad. If you go to Amazon, if you don't want an autographed copy, because the autograph is a little bit more expensive, Dave, and you don't need an autographed copy. $19.95 on Amazon. You could buy it now. The pre-sale is going on everywhere. And then I have that special link for those who want signed and numbered copies. That's moving quite well today. The first day that we've had it up there, answering all those emails from everybody that wrote in to john@mattmemories.com. But Dave, you got a book in you myself. You got a book in yourself inside of you, man. Who knows what happens in the future, but let's stay in touch as we do. And always a pleasure to bring you on.
Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. I'm always watching your show every week. That's a great, show for me to watch. It's great memories, great wrestling, old school wrestling. It's not, you don't do sports entertainment. You do professional wrestling the way it should be done.
That's what I was raised. That was what I was raised on, as you were. All right. Listen, Dave, have a great weekend.
You too, brother.
All right. Take care. Dave Drayson Brzezinski truly has done almost everything in the business, and now launching this new show on YouTube. It's and on Facebook and the other platforms. I mean, check it out. Check it out. Well, we had a good show today. A couple of things on a little bit more of a somber note. I wanted to give you an update. Last week, as you know, we covered the suicide of Tom Cole. And I heard from Tom's sister a couple of days ago, and they started a GoFundMe page for Tom's girls. It's called For Tommy's Girls, because Tom took his life unexpectedly. And there is some new information about him that we may share down the road. But Tom's sister, Maggie, who is actually one of a large family, and she lost Tom last a couple weeks ago, as everybody did, and we had a heart-to-heart. But go to GoFundMe, and there's a campaign up right now to help Tom's kids and his wife, and it's called For Tommy's Girls. GoFundMe.com/For Tommy's Girls. And you'll be able to make, even if it's $1 or a $5 contribution, to help those kids, those 3 beautiful daughters that he left behind, and his beautiful wife. Very, very sad story. And I told them I'll be here and I'll plug this thing and mention it until your goal is raised. And it's got off to a really good start. So GoFundMe.com, and just look for, I'll put in the search engine, For Tommy's Girls. What else is there to say for this week? Next week, of course, we got Terry Funk. God willing, if he's up to it, I think he might be, and I think it'll be a really exciting show next Saturday to bring the Funker on and reminisce with him a little bit. So spread the word. I'll be doing that on my social media. It's going to be a great show next week. And once again, for those of you who do want to get the Matt Memories book before the official release date of April the 6th from ECW Press, I am now, I bought a limited quantity of them. I bought 300 copies from the publisher. They're going to be delivered to me around March the 10th or 11th. I will sign and number these books for you. All you got to do is go to send me an email, john@mattmemories.com. That's john@mattmemories.com. And I'm only going to do that really here through the weekend. And then I'm going to put up a link for the public and on all my social media. And I'm sure that those initial copies will sell out very quickly once I put it out there for everyone on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. But we do have some copies left of the signed and numbered that really surprised me. A lot of them went very, very quickly. So you can do that. Just send me an email, john@mattmemories.com, if you want signed and numbered. If not, we'll send a direct link to you, and you'll be able to order it in advance. Or if you want to wait for the book to come out, it's April the 6th. So that's going to about wrap it up. Don't forget to go to the Facebook auction page, and you'll see some vintage wrestling items from the 30s through the 70s, some Weekend of Champions stuff, and of course, the very first one-of-one Matt Memories book, the very first copy that I'll sign. One of one will be on John Arezzi's Vintage Wrestling Auctions on Facebook. I enjoyed it this week, as I do almost every single week. And thank you all for joining me today. I will see you next Saturday night here with Terry Funk. Until then, this is John Arezzi. Have a great week, everybody.